Today we're talking about portable careers and how to craft the skill set you need to take you out of the office in the 9 to 5, whether at home or halfway around the world.
This is the Women Connected podcast, where we believe that women can improve their personal and professional lives through technology. If you're ready to cut through the noise and learn exactly the tools you need to create your professional brand, be recognized, and keep up in today's fast-paced world, then stay tuned.
Welcome to the Women Connected podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Goodgame, Program Director at TBW, where we believe that women can improve their personal and professional lives through technology. Don't forget to check our website for the show notes for all of our podcast episodes. Just go to tbwconnect.com/listen. If you're enjoying this podcast series, please take a moment and rate and review the podcast on iTunes. We appreciate your support. If you want more great content from TBW, you can like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter, but even better, you can join TBW for just $52 a year and get access to members-only resources and events. Visit tbwconnect.com/join for more information. Today I'm talking with Marcel Jaeger of Career Valet about portable careers. We had a great conversation in December about how to stand out in the job market, and we didn't get to the second major topic we'd wanted to discuss. So today we're devoting our conversation to the nitty-gritty of portable careers, what they are, and how to create one that suits you. Marcel, welcome back to Women Connected.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be back and talking with you today.
So let's start off by talking about the idea of having a portable career. And I guess I'm sort of defining that as a job that you could do anywhere that isn't necessarily limited by geographic boundaries. And, is this something that we really could have even considered 15 or 20 years ago?
That's a good question. And I think it is in one sense, but not in another. And what I mean by that is I think there's always been portable professions. Of course, a teacher, a nurse, a career coach, a writer, those kind of professions could be taken to different places, different cities, different countries. And, people could easily find a career in one of those fields. But I think if you're looking at self-employment as a condition of a portable career, it probably wasn't possible 15 or 20 years ago, just because technology, in that sense is not what it is today, and was not what it is today, I should say. And it plays such an important role, and it's hard to see how one could have been successful. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of examples where people were, but I think all of the social media these days and just the ability to connect from almost anywhere allows people to start their own portable job or portable career where they couldn't have many years ago.
So when we talk about portable careers or portable jobs today, I guess the question that comes up for people is, what does that really mean? Is that just a job that can be done anywhere where you can be connected online or by phone or whatever technological connections make it possible to do the work? Or is it a job that you can find anywhere in the world, ostensibly, if you have the right credentials?
I think, to me, a portable career can span those two things. And what I mean is that you can have a portable skill set, which could be maybe a better term to describe a portable career. So you'd be able to translate your skills in a number of different fields and take it anywhere. Or you could have, as I was just talking about, the portable career field, like a teacher or a nurse or a writer. So I think it depends. It can be defined differently depending on the person. And so if you're thinking about one, I would say, look at what your skill sets are. If you, like, I'm a communications person, that's my work experience, that's my background. So when I look at that, I could say, okay, what fields can I apply that to? And that could be applied to many different industries and many different fields. If I'm an IT person, that can also be applied, right, to many different fields, and therefore many locations geographically. And so I think you shouldn't feel limited by the term portable career, because I think it's the skill set that's really what's most important.
So when you talk about the skill set, obviously there are specific skills that we each bring from our fields of expertise. Like you're saying, communications is really your field of expertise. But are there any, do you think, key skills or tools that are applicable across areas of expertise, I guess, that make it possible to do a job from anywhere in the world? So whether you're a writer or an editor, or you're a web designer, or you're a teacher, do you think that there are skills that are inherent to being successful, I guess, at doing jobs like that from anywhere?
Yes, I think, this might sound cliche to some people, but I really believe that you just have to have an open and entrepreneurial attitude. And I don't mean that you have to be an entrepreneur at all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you really need to have that willingness, the drive to build something for yourself, because it could mean that you have to get out there, and find people to do work for, find companies to do the work for, which will involve networking. And if you're really launching yourself into a new place, in a new realm, even if it is in your area of expertise, you're going to need to have that attitude. And also, you're going to have to use technology clearly today in most any job that you choose, but you don't have to be a tech expert. You need to have the willingness to use it and the willingness to learn new things. So I really think the biggest thing is attitude. And the second thing I would say is know who can answer your questions. And I guess by that, I'm saying don't be afraid to ask the questions, but also know where you can go to get answers. So, if you're looking at developing a portable career in your field and you don't really know where to go, well, sort of, think broadly, or you don't understand the technology, think broadly into your network of family and friends, former professors, alumni contacts, and just know where to go to ask those questions. It could even be cold calls to somewhere, but I think people would be surprised by how many people want to help and like to talk about their knowledge. And I think you just can't be afraid to do that. And no one is going to have the answers to all the questions. So you have to know that it's okay to go out there and ask those questions and know where to get your answers.
So you have worked overseas. You have had a couple of different roles at different times, all within that, sort of larger sphere of communications. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your experience of transitioning from, having had a, sort of stayed, corporate or government job to transitioning to having this sort of portable career that you can take with you wherever you're going.
Sure. I actually years ago almost started in the portable career realm before going back to the corporate and government area, and then coming back to portable career with Career Valet, starting up. And at that point, years ago, I was overseas and did some work with translation and interpretation in Russian to English. as well as some writing and editing for some English language publications. And I also helped someone with startup business doing research basically for her. And all of these jobs came about, I think only one job came about as a result of my application. The other ones truly were through connections. One was through a connection in the U.S. whose company worked with an NGO overseas, and another one was an alumni contact that I had found that lived in Russia at the time where I was living. And so I had about 3 or 4 things going at the same time. And I think, that was my start into it. And it really taught me that it was possible to, again, translate those skills that I had from working in an office space to being able to, manage my own time and be able to accomplish everything I needed to in each of those roles. And I think that the most important thing is to, as I've noticed with starting up Career Valet, was to start it while still working full time. So, if you're at your 9-to-5 job or whatever hours you may have, I wouldn't say stop it and just start your new work and freelance or portable career, whatever you're thinking about doing. I would try to explore it first on the side and go from there. It's just, from a stress level, it's a little bit simpler. It eats up more of your time, but I think it'll help you get a smoother transition and work out some of the bumps before you actually launch into it wholeheartedly.
So now that you have your own consulting business with Career Valet, I know that you work with clients both in the U.S. and overseas. And as people are thinking about how to establish themselves and how to promote and market themselves online, do you think that there's any benefit to making it appear that your business is really based in the United States if you're going after a U.S. clientele? Or do you think it doesn't matter because the nature of the work is such that it really can be done from anywhere?
I think that's an excellent question. And because we actually played with the idea of how to make sure people knew that we could work virtually anywhere because of Skype and other tools now available. And it was kind of a constant debate in the beginning as to, do you publish that? Do you not publish it? Do people care? And I think what's most important is that people understand that you have that breadth of experience to be able to handle clients from different cities in the country or different countries. So yes, I think it's helpful to let people know that you are US based, but I think that's true for anywhere. To be honest, I think that's given us a lot of credibility with clients in the other geographies where we've worked. And so I think marketing yourself as a global provider that's US based is helpful. And I don't think you have to, say it outright, which we haven't really done either. I think it's a little bit implied in our bios and, the way we present information. And of course, if people ask, we're going to tell them, but I think it's more about letting people know that you get it, you get whatever business you're in, and here's why.
That's a great point. And I think one of the issues that comes up, especially for freelancers, is that they often find themselves competing with overseas professionals who are able to charge considerably less for their services than those of us who are based in the U.S., but who don't necessarily always bring the same level of skill, for example, with a high level of English proficiency, if that's necessarily required for the job. And it just, had kind of got me thinking about what the competitive marketplace, I guess, really looks like out there if you are turning to a, portable freelance kind of job that doesn't necessarily have you tied to a geographic location, but where you're potentially seeking clients from a specific geographic location, if that makes sense.
I found, and I think that is a huge challenge, as you said, financially, it's much easier for companies to hire in certain locations than here in the U.S. for freelance work. I've definitely seen that looking through opportunities online on elance.com, for example. And I think what you have to remember, though, is there's the value that you bring as a native English speaker to many professions. And I noticed that years ago, as I mentioned, when I was in Russia, just having that background. And it wasn't only because I was a communications person, that was also valued for me to do business development for a company, being educated in the U.S. and so forth was of high value to many companies.
So as we think about what fields can really be lucrative for people who are looking at shifting to this kind of job or this kind of career, have you found in your experience as a career coach that certain fields are more lucrative than others for those who are seeking portable work, and whether or not there are some jobs that tend to be more viable, I guess, to do at a distance?
I think this won't surprise anyone, but web design and graphic design are definitely the most lucrative that you can find. And those are things that are still in high demand, as they have been for years. And I think any kind of translation into or from foreign language, both written and spoken, can also be highly lucrative. Of course, that's not a skill that, everyone's going to have, but those are two of the ones that would come to mind. I've also seen people that do online teaching through universities that have also done quite well for themselves and enjoy that work, and that can be done from a distance very easily. And to your question about the viability of certain careers, I think two of the most portable ones would be that online teaching, like I just mentioned, as long as you have an internet connection, of course, and any type of writing and editing. Maybe you aren't a writer, maybe you're just an editor, but there's a lot of places that are in great need of proofreaders and copy editors. And you can stretch that, into all different kinds of businesses, from a legal business to a advertising shop. So that can really run the gamut, just like writing, of course. And, I think if you establish yourself, if writing is your thing, that you do need to have an area of expertise, whether it's, PR, legal writing, whatever it may be. There are lots of opportunities out there for different types. I see listings all the time. And, as you well know, there's a great need for bloggers now and more web content folks. So all these things can really be translated into a lot of different opportunities.
So back to this idea of, thinking about who who seeks a portable career? When I was doing a little bit of research online, of course, a lot of the resources that I ran into were directed at military wives or military spouses, which makes a lot of sense because military folks, whether they're in the US or elsewhere, are frequently on the move, both domestically and internationally. And so it seemed to, of course, make a lot of sense to me that they're a key target demographic for training and opportunities for portable careers. But today, it seems that so many people, regardless of the field that they're in or whether they have ties to, military or businesses that tend to move their employees on a regular basis, so many people can really, kind of benefit from the idea of having a more portable skill set, regardless of whether they're thinking about moving halfway across the globe or just want the opportunity to, live somewhere else for a period of time.
Yeah, and I think it does. It applies to everyone these days. I really think that you can prepare well in advance because it's not just military anymore, like you say. You just don't know where life can take you, and things could change at any moment. And I think the advice I would give is to really think about your passions first and foremost, and your strengths when it comes to different types of jobs. And then from there, think about what kind of jobs you could see yourself doing. The way that I found out that I wanted to do career consulting was from thinking about the question, what would I do for free? And it came to me that for years I'd been doing, helping, friends and relatives with career related decisions and resumes and cover letters. And I thought, if I'm doing it for free, then obviously that's a passion that I have, and it combines my interest in writing. So I think if you think about those strengths and your passions and see where that takes you, you might come up with a list of ideas. And I do want to throw this in just because this quote I read the other day has really had an impact on me. And I think it might ring true for many folks. And it's by Patricia McGuire, who's the president of Trinity Washington University here in DC. And she said, a good career is a series of well-managed coincidences, meaning seize opportunity. And I think that's really good advice, because I think that says, always be prepared. You really never know what's going to come along. And if you're prepared by knowing the things that you're good at and that make you feel engaged and rewarded in terms of a job, that will help you see an opportunity when it comes along or when you find it yourself.
Well, those are two really great gems of advice. The idea of what would you do for free, and the idea that, life or career is just a series of well-managed coincidences. I think that those are two really sort of key ideas for our listeners to take away from this conversation. Before we wrap up, I want to go back to that topic of preparing to transition from having a 9-to-5 job. What would you say are maybe the 2 or 3 key things somebody should be thinking about in that, period of time, however long it may be, 6 months, a year, or even longer, before they are ready to transition to kind of hanging their own shingle and striking out?
Number one, I always tell people, have your resume up to date. You're going to need to have that because people are going to ask. So if you're going to strike out into a new career that's portable, have that ready along with your LinkedIn profile. And the second thing I would say is to get out there, put yourself out there, go to networking events, go to social groups, meetups, by using Meetup online, to find groups in your area with interests similar to yours. It doesn't have to be, graphic designers of Austin, right? It could be just people interested in pets. But you never know who you're going to meet in that group. So they could be social events or associations. If you're a member of, or you've considered attending some association events, whether it's a trade association or something else, I think all of those things are going to help you broaden your network and get you started with the conversation going, and to start telling people about what you're looking to do and what your plans are, and make it be known that's what you are. You don't even have to say, I'm planning to do XYZ. You say, if it's web design you're going to do, you say, I'm a web designer and I do this, that, and the other thing. And I would suggest that, if it's a little scary, but I think once you start talking that way, you make it what it is. And if there's questions you can't answer right away, if somebody asks you how much you charge or what your process is, you just tell them you'll get back to them. That's the worst that could happen.
Those are great suggestions for managing that transition from the desk job to the portable job, which may in fact be a desk job, but just somewhere else. So, Marcel, it's been great to talk to you about this topic today. Are there any other ideas or recommendations you have for people who are considering transitioning to some kind of portable work?
I think what was most helpful for me was having a basic business strategy. And I wouldn't call it a business plan because it wasn't a full-fledged, 30-page report. It was maybe 5 pages, but it was based on some research that I did of the market before starting Career Valet. And I think if you just sit down, even if it's for a couple of hours at some point, brainstorm your contacts and opportunities that could possibly have some kind of connection, even if it's a small one, to what you're thinking about doing. This will allow you to start figuring out what the marketplace is like. And from there, you can start reaching out and sort of testing the market. But that was the most helpful for me. And I have returned to it when I've thought about other marketing opportunities and things. And that was several years ago. And I'm still going back to it when I need some fresh ideas and new areas to pursue.
Marcel, those are really great tips and recommendations. That idea of having a business strategy, I think, is really key for all of us. Actually, regardless of whether we're employees or we are people who are looking to start our own sorts of new work in a new year. So thanks again for joining me on the podcast. It has been great to talk to you.
Great talking to you too, Lisa. Thanks so much.
The Women Connected podcast was brought to you by TBW and the TBPW Foundation, underwriter of many of our training and leadership development programs. For more information about TBW membership and our upcoming programs, please visit our website at tbwconnect.com. We hope you'll join us next time on Women Connected.